if these people can't make a connection between animal agriculture and the planet, then we really are in trouble. Information is key. What you're doing at Plant-Based News is critical, and you have to have gentle, open-minded, open-hearted conversations.
So first up, Stella, thank you so much for doing this interview. How is COP28 going for you?
COP28 is going well for us at Stella McCartney. So far, we're the only fashion house really represented here in an industry that is second most harmful to the planet. So I feel like we have a lot of work to do, but it's been really received positively here. We've got Stella's Sustainable Solutions installation behind me, and I'm just showcasing all the innovators and the future of tomorrow's fashion industry.
And in less than 1 minute, how do you see the fashion industry evolving in terms of sustainability and ethical practices over the coming years?
I think the fashion industry in the coming years will evolve on sustainability, hopefully in a more mindful and caring way. I mean, at Stella McCartney, our big kind of push is on animal welfare and animal cruelty. So, that's our big thing. But I think in order to have a conversation in the industry in somewhere like this at COP, you need to come at it in a slightly different way. You need to be talking about 1 billion animals a year being killed for fashion, but also the human welfare aspect there, I think, is something that people can actually connect with, and how the chemicals that are used to tan the leathers can be cancerous. And so that's a conversation that we have as well, just so people can connect a little more. And obviously things are changing, but they're not really changing fast enough. So the impact is big. That amount of animals being killed is cutting down about 17% of our rainforests. It's using water inefficiently, energy inefficiently, grain inefficiently. So at Stella McCartney, we just want to show the solutions. That's really what we're here to do, is just show there is a better way for the future of fashion.
And do you think you would have been as interested in the fashion industry if it wasn't for the issues that you've just spoken about? Like, how much of a driver have these been?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I come at things obviously a little differently from everyone else in my industry. I don't know if I would still be doing fashion at this stage in my career if it were not for the really, truly meaningful, important role that I now play here in trying to bring awareness and information to the consumer. We're talking to politicians here and world leaders, and being at COP is the big push, is to try and get policy change, to try and get some legislation in place to control the world of fashion so that they have limitations, and also to incentivize the future generations that want to come into this business. Fashion designing alone doesn't feed my soul. It does creatively, but for me, I really find it so rewarding to try and save the planet at the same time.
It's the same with me and what we're doing. Obviously, I'm into media, I'm into video editing, but it's definitely been the passion for sustainability and veganism and all the issues we care about that kind of driven the motivation. I want to talk about COP28 serving meat and the food sector, specifically plant-based. This has received a lot of criticism over the last year. I always respond to people that talk about this and say progress isn't always linear. Often it happens in like an S-curve. Has the fashion industry received the same pushback over the past year?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the fashion sector, there's so much to talk about. The industry is so complex, and there's so many different elements to it that really do damage the planet. It's hard because so many good things have come into the industry. There's a lot of greenwashing, unfortunately, but I think there's change happening slowly, and I think something's better than nothing. We have to remain positive, we have to, because it's too depressing if we don't. But as far as, meat being served at COP, it's madness. The first one I went to was in Glasgow a couple of years ago, and every dinner I was asked to talk at, every event had meat in the green rooms, and, right there at dinners it was being served while I was speaking. And, I think my thing is to shout it out and to actually let people know and make a connection, because if these people can't make a connection between animal agriculture and the planet, then we really are in trouble. A couple of years in, I've been to a lot of plant-based events here, and so I've got a little hope, but I have to say I went to a dinner the other night. I won't say where it was, but one of the most powerful environmental dinners, and they were serving meat and fish. So I was like, we need to wake up and make the connection. I think my point is it's hard, for people to people get very focused in on their agenda and what they're trying to do, and they forget, I think the last thing on the agenda, sadly, is animal agriculture. And so I feel like I'm the one here representing that conversation and fashion.
I agree. It's so frustrating that this issue of moving away from animal agriculture isn't high up on the agenda. I wanted to ask you about the fashion industry, because I believe you'd agree that shifting away from animal products and leather is the single biggest thing in the sector we can do. So what do you say to people that kind of criticize this and say there are some outliers that are actually worse for the environment? There are some animal alternatives that are really bad for the environment.
Yeah, I think that the problem with this conversation is, if you're trying to do good, a lot of the time people will just still try and sort of shame you and blame you and try and bring out the negative. The reality is, with the meat industry and with animal agriculture and fashion, this whole kind of conversation about it being a byproduct, I mean, it's just nonsense. It's just sheer nonsense. So, I'm here to also sort of let people know that's a lie that's been created by the meat industry and by the leather boards. These are powerful industries, and it's just simply not true.
Can I just interject, just because I think it'll be useful for our viewers? Why is it a lie? Is it because when people buy into this industry, they create a demand, which then creates a supply, which then creates suffering?
I'm saying that there's no way that you can create a leather, luxurious leather, or any leather that comes from a byproduct of somebody eating the animal first. It's simply just, they don't even work in the same locations. The abattoir that kills the food doesn't then take carefully the leather off the skin of the animal and, takes it to Italy to be made into a handbag. It's just simply not a truth. So, and then in answer to your question as to the alternative to that being a plastic and being obviously not friendly for the environment, there is obviously an element to that. But here at Stella McCartney, and behind me you'll see we're bringing the solutions. So we have an incredible new innovation from a young group of scientists, and it's a product called Mirum, and it's a plastic-free, natural based, actually it's made from rubber, leather alternative, and it's scalable. I think the one thing that we're talking about here in Stella's solutions on sustainability is you have to be able to take these innovations, these answers for a better future in my industry, better sourcing, better supply chain. They have to be scalable. So they have to come in at the same price point, and you have to be able to take them into real business. But none of it's as bad as killing the animal in the first place. The biggest impact we have at Stella McCartney in a positive way for the environment is we do not use animals. We don't need leather, feathers, fur. And that has the biggest impact on our environmental impact in a positive way. And then we are trying to find the solutions to all of the kind of microplastics. That fake fur has some plastic element. We don't buy that type of fake fur. And here today you can see there's a completely natural fake fur that has no plastic in it too. I think we're just trying to provide a better solution. And obviously there's always a better solution for the better solution, which is basically don't buy anything anyway and just walk around in a load of regenerative cotton. It's not as realistic as what we're trying to present here.
We've walked around here and it's amazing what you're exhibiting, but can you just explain for our viewers what it is you're showcasing and how this is a massive step in the right direction?
Yeah. I mean, what we're showcasing here at COP28 it really is the future of fashion. It is absolutely the answer for tomorrow, and I'm hoping that in a few years we'll have even better answers. But I think it's not realistic to think you can just eliminate all of the bad things in my industry, because there's so many bad things in my industry. So I'm sort of, every little step is better than nothing. There's a lot of animal products in the fashion industry, and we have, we're trying to find a kinder solution. There's regenerative wools here. I don't really want to use a product from a sheep, but if we're kind to the sheep, that's my first hope. If we're kind to the soil, it's a hugely stripping of nutrients, and it's a cruel industry. So my first thing is trying to be kind and loving, and then to give back to nature. But I think, there's different steps in finding solutions. And I think if you're too extreme and too harsh, then you close the door down into a conversation. And I'm really trying to just gently nudge people and open their minds, because the people here at COP are the people that make decisions. They make laws that can change the future of everything we have the same intention for.
So you said earlier in the interview that you have to be outspoken. And this is why I admire you and what you've done so much. Now you're saying, we can't come across as extreme. how do we walk this tightrope,
Yeah.
which is a feeling that I've often experienced when I'm trying to advocate for this message? Is the problem how we say it or what we say?
I think, look, I've grown up seeing the reaction to my parents. My parents, you know, my mum founded a meat-free company in 1991. I've been a vegetarian all my life. And it was so weird. We were ridiculed, we were made fun of in my industry not using leather in luxury fashion. Like, I am an absolute eco-weirdo freak in the room. And now we're at a place where we can have these conversations. People are becoming more aware, but you need to gently deliver information. I think that's the key thing. If you're too aggressive with a point of view, I don't think people can digest it. They immediately get their backs up. And you can see examples of other people that do that, and it doesn't work for them, let alone the animals and our planet. So I think it is about finding a balance and walking a tightrope and reading the room, seeing who you're talking to, and just try to sort of gently encourage them. But information is key. You know, what you're doing at Plant-Based News is critical, and you have to have gentle, open-minded, open-hearted conversations. You need to give people an option, and you also need to not sacrifice any style or any taste. Or, you know, people want beautiful fashion. They want to wear beautiful things. They want to escape into the world of fashion. So if I give them like a hemp handbag that's like cardboard and is uncomfortable, it's landfill anyway. It doesn't really help anyone.
I genuinely really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing. Thank you for having me.